Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge in financial freedom. Today, I've got a few headlines that are going to be pretty quick. I do have one that's a little bit bigger. We won't dive all the way into that. I just wanted to touch on the meme side of things because it's an addition to politicians being able to trade and all that. We'll kind of have to see if that gets passed, but with kind of recent actions from not just America, but from across the globe of presidential rug pulls, you might see this one get a little further than it did last time. So let's dive on in and get you prepped for some success today before we dive into those headlines. I do have that stock heat map pulled up like always. Let's dive on into that because things are looking pretty ugly across the board, and not just for crypto. I know a lot of people have been very worried about crypto, but that they negate the fact that there's a whole stock market over here that's just completely in the red too. So we'll just kind of have to go through this one, and then we'll see that the crypto side isn't looking so bad when you compare it to the stock side. You've got things like Apple down 1.27% in the pre-market, looking quite neutral here, and it is up 0.36. Let me get that adjusted just a bit. That microphone was a little bit further away there. Is that a little bit better for you, Aiko? We've got Nvidia up 0.36%. No, Apple up 0.36. We've got Nvidia with a massive sell-off after it beat its earnings, but quite flat on those earnings. So that's what caused that giant sell-off, down 8.48%. And in the pre-market, in that neutral range, up 0.17. We've got Berkshire Hathaway looking up, and they're sitting on a massive amount of cash right now. They're up 1.68%, and in the pre-market, up 0.66. Let me see. Did that help the mic any? There we go. Yeah, it's picking up just a little bit better. It was on the other mode, so I had to switch that. We got Amazon sitting down at 2.62 in the pre-market, looking quite flat, up 0.04. We've got Eli Lilly sitting in that neutral range for the pre-market. It's down 1.08 off of its close. We've got ExxonMobil sitting up just a bit off of some decent oil data from the other day, up 0.63 in the pre-market, looking quite flat, down 0.15. We've got Tesla looking down 3.04 in the pre-market, also looking down just a bit, kind of in that almost neutral range, down 0.57. Got P&G doing quite well. It is sitting very neutral, but that's kind of what you want to see. It's up 0.39, and in the pre-market, up 0.32. We've got Microsoft sitting down 1.8, and in the pre-market, sitting down 0.11. We've got Google sitting down a whopping 2.57, and in the pre-market, looking quite neutral, up 0.08. We've got Meta also getting hit quite hard, down 2.29, and in the pre-market, up 0.57, so just out of that neutral range. On the crypto side of things, we're also looking quite red. Bitcoin down 5.11, Ethereum down 7.73. We've got XRP down 7.57, BNB down 5.47, Solana down 3.08, Dogecoin down a whopping 10%. We've got Cardano down 7%. We've got Tron sitting down 1.72. We've got Litecoin down at 5.63, Chainlink sitting down 8.27. We do have a very neutral Unis said Leo. That is a exchange token, so that's kind of why you see it doing a little bit better there. You've got Avalanche sitting down at 6.87 and Sui sitting down 5.79. Let's hop over to that economic calendar. I was looking at yesterday's data. I know Piper broke some of that down for y'all. I kind of wanted to touch on some of this, though. We did see durable goods orders coming in quite above forecast, so some good news for some sectors of the economy, but you do have that GDP growth rate coming down 0.8%. That is very ugly and does show for a contracting economy, while that GDP price index came in above forecast. So seeing this market sell-off was definitely an expected move. Let's hop over to today's data because we do have some data coming out quite soon. We do have the core PCE price index month over month and year over year. The month over month is looking to come up 0.1%, while that year over year is looking to finally be heading in the right direction from 2.8% to 2.6. This is kind of what you want to see on the producer side of things. This is a lot of the information that the Fed uses to base their interest rates off of. They don't really care about the consumer as much. They care about the producer, because if the producer is doing well, a lot of this flows over to the consumer. We will also be getting some GDP data out of Canada this morning. Not a massive market mover, but might move markets just a little bit here. That will be at 8:30. We also have some more data coming out of the US, the PCE price index month over month and the PCE price index year over year. This is non-core, so it is taking into account everything. That month over month is looking quite flat at 0.3%. And looking for a slight decrease from 2.6% to 2.5% on the year over year. We also will be getting personal income month over month. Forecast is that it's coming down, not what you want to see, and that personal spending is looking to come down quite drastically from 0.7% to 0.1%, also showing a contracting economy. This is another reason we've been seeing sell-off. The economy is not looking amazing. We will have to dive into this on Piper's show. We'll kind of see his breakdown of all the data. So make sure you're there, because we will be getting a lot of data this morning as well. We got the Chicago PMI coming out at 9:45. We also have a little bit later in the day let me scroll down to it. Some news out of China with their manufacturing PMI, and that will be a big market mover for that Asia time frame. That is coming out at 8:30 Eastern time. Might see a little bit of a boost off of some markets from that. It is looking like they're headed back in the right direction on their manufacturing. All right, let's hop over to this fear and greed index. We are looking a little bit better than yesterday. The stock market is up a point after some sell-off. Still in extreme fear, though. We also have the crypto side of things still sitting in extreme fear. Up 6 points, though, which is quite strange because we are lower. So lower prices and higher on that fear and greed index. Looking like the bottom could potentially be heading our way quite soon for some sideways movement, not a big move to the upside. I was taking a look at the 3-month this morning because that's right where I have a limit order set for our bottom side liquidity. I did talk about this yesterday, and I talked about it in our Discord as well with all of our YouTube members on Wednesday. I've got an order set all the way down here where we see this hot spot of liquidity at 71,900. There's a lot of money sitting down here, about $100 million, and we're very close to it. So, grabbing that would be a move for the market makers to make before we start heading back to the upside, where we've got liquidity sitting to the top side of us on this 2 week. We've got a lot of liquidity sitting up at that $100,000, and that's going to be 128 million, right at 99,500. You zoom this on into that 1 week, and you can kind of see a lot of the liquidity is still residing to the top side. You've got a light hot spot at 90,000. You've got a light hot spot at 92,000. These are all key areas where I've wanted to see us hold as support, and we'll need to climb back up there and turn these all into support before we really get our strong move back to the upside. We got 96,600 being another range where we see liquidity piling up all the way up to about 97,300. If you take a look at this 24-hour, you do see that we've taken out a lot of the liquidity in this range. We're kind of just moving sideways here, waiting for us to either find strong support or have strong money flow coming in. Let's say hello to the chat this morning. I see quite a few people in here. Let me get that Bitcoin chart pulled up while I say good morning to everyone. We got Jesse Gulak in the chat. We got French Toaster in here. Good morning, good morning. We got All Set as well. Good morning to you. I see Jesse Gulak saying hit that like button, people. It's free and it supports the channel. I appreciate you, Jesse. We got the Mod Queen Alexandra G in the chat. Good morning to you. Hope you're having a great Friday so far. We love the Mod Queen and all she does here. We've got Aiko in the chat. Good morning, good morning. He said he had to make that coffee and he'd be right back. Hope you're getting your caffeine in for the day. I am overly caffeinated this morning and I'm ready to hit some charts. We got I know there was one, Arsan246 saying, are we bear yet? I don't think we are bear market yet, but we'll kind of have to see what Piper thinks about that as well, because I was looking for some lower levels. As I had said the other day, I had some limit orders set, so I don't think we're in the bear market. We do see a double topping happen a lot in crypto, so seeing a bit of a retracement after a massive move to the upside. Let's get this drawn out here. So you got after having, when we hit our bottom here and all the way to the upside, we've got 123% to the upside. So to kind of see a bit of a retracement, we're sitting right under the 50% fib line here, is a healthy move to make. You know, massive gains, people are taking their profits. You know, a lot of people started taking their profits when we got back down to this 236, and that's about 95% profit. And then they're waiting for these lower levels to kind of see if we get that second top. We'll kind of have to see where we find that bottom, but I was looking at this golden pocket range, which is right in that CME gap. And if we're going to close that CME gap, we might as well grab that $100 million that's sitting below us. And that's in this range right here, where we've got a nice little rejection before we got up to the golden pocket. You do have the daily looking like it's finally seeing a bit of a bottom here on our prime oscillator. Let's get this on the demonstration tool. You can kind of see we finally found a bit of a bottom and we're curving back up here, but your money flow is continuing to come out. You can see it just broke red, and it broke red quite heavily, looking like a lot of money flowing out here on the daily. MACD looking almost completely straight down as we are creating some width from our indicator line. We are printing lots of red candles and they are getting bigger. So looking like we might see a little bit more downside on our macro before we really get strong pushes to the upside. That does not mean we won't see short-term bounces on the way down, like this whole green candle here on the daily, where we try to get back up to that 382 and turn this 85 to 51 into some support to continue an uptrend. But those bears really took hold with that money flow coming out. We do have that 4 hour looking at quite bearish as well. Money flow is looking to head back in the right direction here. It is curving back up, but we are making lower lows on that money flow. Would really need to see that trend reverse here. You do have your MACD looking like it's getting some curvature to come back to our indicator line, as our prime oscillator is also getting that curvature back to the upside. But with the money flow looking the way that it is, that prime oscillator is still sitting red, and we are sitting below this 50% fib line that we'll need to get above with some strength. That would be that first move to really make before we try to get back up to this 85 to 150 range. If not, it's looking like we might get a brief little move above here before we continue some downtrend with how the daily is looking and how that money flow is coming out. Money flow is coming out across the board. We do have that 1 hour looking like you might see a little bit of some move to the upside if you can continue seeing a slowdown here on this money flow. Getting some nice little curvature back to the upside here. Got your prime oscillator sitting green as your MACD is at that point where you will cross your indicator line on the top side to the top side, but we are still sitting below that zero line. So looking a bit bearish. We are below all our moving averages as well, rejecting off of the 50 here before we came down and rejected off of the 20 and dropped down below that 50% fib. This is a bit bearish here on all of these higher term time frames. You do have that 15-minute and the morning looking like you are topping out here as we have approached this 50% fib line, getting some curvature here on our MACD as we just broke above the zero line quite briefly. You do have that MACD already hitting that red and rolling back over. Money flow is on the way out and is holding steady, but your volume is looking to try to overwhelm that with some buying volume. We'll kind of have to see how strong this buying volume gets as we come back up to this 50% fib and see if we reject off of a higher time frame, one of these higher time frame moving averages, or if we can really turn this 50% line into some support and kind of waffle around sideways before we go into the weekend. All right, I do have a few news articles I wanted to take a look at, but I did see a few other people in the chat. We've got Lasers in here saying good morning. He said, hit that like. We're probably going to fill the gap and make Chicago look like geniuses, says Lasers. And that's what I had my eye on. As soon as we kind of started this downtrend, I had been looking at higher term time frame charts. We do have that weekly looking quite ugly. I talked about that the other day. MACD breaking down quite strong, money flow coming out on the weekly, and prime oscillator pointing down, but the volume is starting to kind of slow up, so that could hint that the bottom is down here as that volume and money flow kind of slows up just a bit on your higher term time frames. We'll kind of have to keep our eyes on that. I see Jay Violet in the chat. Good morning to you. Hope you're having hope you had a great day. I know it is closer to the end of yours. We got Nvidia. This Nvidia article, I had teased it the other day. I told everyone with the headline, is Nvidia overhyped? And it looks like the answer is yes, because it saw a massive 8% sell-off off of some decent earnings, though it does show that it was flat. Nvidia does it again. Bumper quarter and bold guidance show demand isn't going anywhere. Nvidia is still king. That's what became clear when the chipmaker posted record above expectation sales at $39.3 billion. Nvidia stock showed virtually no reaction to another stellar quarter, as apparently record sales and earnings weren't good enough for investors. Shares of the chipmaker were flat in extended trading Wednesday and early Thursday following the company's fourth quarter earnings report. Nvidia pulled in a record revenue of $39.3 billion, up 80% from 1 year ago and topped market analyst estimates of $38 billion. Earnings per share reached 89 cents against Wall Street's guidance of 84 cents a pop. By the company's performance numbers, and what's more, forward-looking guidance, demand for AI chips isn't going anywhere. Big tech is likely to continue shopping for data center equipment from Nvidia, as the company said it expected about $43 billion in first quarter revenue. The figure was above Wall Street's consensus views of $42 billion and signaled that Nvidia isn't too afraid of China's DeepSeek, which recently shook the AI space with an AI bot that's immensely cheaper than OpenAI's ChatGPT. Data center revenue up 93%. Revenue from data centers was up 93% year over year to $35.6 billion. Nvidia said that the big cloud computing firms accounted for roughly 50% of its data center revenue. The company's flagship AI chip, Blackwell, appears to be doing fine too. Jensen Huang said that he's more enthusiastic today about Blackwell than he was before. Nothing is easy about what we're doing, but we're doing great, the chief executive said on the earnings conference call. We'll kind of have to see if this actually does play out, but when they beat earnings, but sales were looking quite flat, we didn't see that nice strong move to the upside. Instead, we saw a continued sell-off from before they released their earnings. Kind of hinted at the direction that the markets were going to move when that earnings was released. We do have Amazon making big moves as well. Amazon joins the quantum chip race with transformative Ocelot. Just a week after Microsoft unveiled its Majora 1, the new state of matter, Amazon followed up its first-gen quantum chip. The race is on. Amazon stepped into the game-changing quantum chip race with its own quantum creation, Ocelot. The company's first-generation chip for quantum computing was unveiled on Thursday, a week after Microsoft lifted the curtain for Majora 1 quantum chip. The announcement comes 4 years after Amazon's chief Andy Jassy said the company was optimistic in the future that quantum computing will play a role. And this is just another move that Amazon is making to kind of compete in a giant space. Technology is kind of the next sector that will move us forward as a world, and Amazon wants to play a part in that. They're trying to compete with some of these bigger companies. They are already in that big 7 on stocks, and they're trying to branch out into more directions. I see Al Jr. saying good morning, everyone. Happy MFN Friday. Yep, it is Friday, and I'm quite glad about it. It was a bit of an exciting week for me. I got to drive some semis on the road for the first time, and it was a little bit terrifying at points, but it was a lot of fun as well. Let's hop into this last article here. We've got U.S. Congressman pushes meme act to ban officials potentially profiting from meme coins. Let's zoom this on in. I'm sorry about that blinding white background. They don't have a dark mode on this. U.S. Democratic Congressman Sam Liccardo introduced a bill on February 27th to prevent government officials and their families from profiting from cryptocurrencies, including meme coins. The proposed legislation, known as Modern Amulets and Malfeasance Enforcement Meme Act, has gained support from multiple Democratic colleagues and is designed to make corruption criminal again. If passed, the bill would prohibit elected officials like the president, vice president, members of Congress, and senior executive officials, along with their spouses and dependent children, from issuing, promoting, or financially benefiting from securities, commodities, or cryptocurrencies, including meme coins. The lawmakers also view the bill as an expansion of the Emulates Clause, which prevents officials from accepting gifts from foreign entities. He argued that profiting from political influence in financial markets should be equally restricted. Additionally, it would penalize violators and require them to forfeit any illicit gains made before the bill's enactment. This is a big move for the cryptocurrency, the current cryptocurrency scene, especially after we saw two presidents pull a rug pull. This is the new norm for crypto. We've seen it heading in this direction for quite a while, and I've been saying for quite a while as well, if crypto won't regulate itself, it will have regulation forced upon it. And this is just the first thing we're seeing from America to kind of regulate crypto on the more negative side of things. You've already seen other countries kind of do their part. The UK banned Pump Sol, which was that meme market for Solana that did quite crazy last year. You also see the European Union taking similar moves. The dirty underside of crypto is what gives crypto a bad name. And if we won't fix it ourselves, it is going to get regulated. And this is just one more thing that we will have to keep our eyes on. That's not just on the crypto side of things for politicians, it's also on your TradFi side of things. So we'll kind of have to see. That's something that a lot of Americans are for. And after seeing a presidential rug pull where supposedly 800,000 people bought into Trump coin, and most of those 800,000 people lost money. That's not what you want to see. It's not a positive for the crypto space. And I'm quite happy that this bill has been introduced. I don't think anyone should take their political influence or influence in general and steal people's money with it. It's not ethical at all, and it is a black dot on crypto. We have Crypto Focus 17. Good morning, everyone. May the game gods be on your side. Good morning to you, Crypto Focus. Hope you're having a great day. I see Al Jr. saying, it's like you go to another chat and it's whatever. Here I'm doing head count. Love it. LFG damp it. 75.3. That's quite around one of those first areas I was looking at for a bit of a bounce. That is that golden pocket on our retracement for this whole move to the upside. I did have a little bit lower levels where I was looking at because I did show that liquidation heat map. We've got a lot of liquidity sitting at 71,900 all the way up to about 72,200, and that's right around where I was looking. If we're going to close the CME gap, we might as well grab that $100 million that's sitting right below it. All right, if anyone has any alt requests, go ahead and drop those in the chat for me. I have a few things I wanted to look at for TradFi. I wanted to take a look at gold because gold, just like everything else, is seeing a sell-off after it hit all-time highs. We did have the Dixie making solid moves and Nvidia as well. I wanted to take a look at that chart. Other than that, though, I don't really have a whole lot pulled up. I did want to potentially take a look at NIR because that was talked about in our Discord, and I kind of wanted to show everyone what I was looking at there. Let's hop over to this gold chart. We see LTC requested. Let me get that added to the list. We got LTC. All right, let's pull up this gold chart, and you see we are getting a solid retracement here after all-time highs on gold, losing key levels and then moving quite quickly down just like the rest of the market. We are sitting right below the 382 here. The 236 here on our retracement and are looking for a bit lower. You do have that 4 hour with money flow rolling over again here. So money flow is continuing to come out. Your volume is holding steady, solid red, not unexpected after all-time highs. You've got your prime oscillator here trying to make a move to the upside, but if it does, it's still sitting in the red. So seeing that move back up to our 236 to project off of it would be a move to see. You've got a strong area right below us at 2,834 where you might see some slight bouncing before you really get down to that 382. That daily was also looking quite the same way, where your MACD just broke below your indicator line on the top side. So looking for some continued downside action as your money flow is starting to come out here on our daily. Volume still quite green, but it is slowing up. So definitely looking for a bit of some downside. We did get a massive move to the upside here on gold, just like a lot of your other assets. This was a nice solid 15% move to the upside, which is quite nice for TradFi, and to see a bit of some retracement on that back down to around our 50% fib line would be a solid move to see, would bring in a lot of buying pressure. You get down here to that 2,773, you got some nice launching areas. You also got a nice little launching area right above that at 2,786 as well. That's either side of that 50% fib line. So if we're going to come down there, we might as well hit that bottom side. That's where some strong money flow might start coming back in. That's also where you saw as soon as we got down to this on our daily, you saw massive buying pressure to push us back up to that 382. You got your 1 hour looking like it's trying to make that last little move to the upside, but your MACD moving quite sideways as it broke above our indicator line. Your prime oscillator moving quite sideways as well, as money flow is staying steady on some selling pressure. Looking like we're going to see continued downside. The Dixie, on the other hand, has broken above a key level I was looking at. It was an area I want us to turn into some support. We got a nice little bounce off of it before we really continued that rejection. We got some waffling around on the bottom side before we got that push back up. But looks like that push up might be short-lived. You do see that prime oscillator switching from green to red as we saw overbought signals and a reversal signal flash, and coming back down. True 7 also coming back down. Volume holding steady for now as some buying pressure here on the 4 hour. But you're looking quite toppy here on the MACD as well, getting that nice solid curvature back towards the downside here. Indicator line also getting a bit of some curvature, just seeing us come back down to these key levels 106.72 to see if we can turn it into some support. Your moving averages are also kind of waffling around here. You've got some constriction on your shorter term time frames, but looking like they might be continuing to the downside, especially with all the pressure on our higher term time frames curving and looking like they're coming back down. You do have your 1 hour also looking like it's already got that move to the downside coming our way. Just broke that indicator line, curving down quite heavily, and we're printing larger red candles here. We also have that prime oscillator with some overbought signals, and that reversal signal looking to play out. True 7 quite low here, looking for that clipping, but it looks like some more downside will be heading our way before we get that strong clipping on the True 7. Any other alt requests besides LTC? Because I do have this Nvidia chart I wanted to take a look at, and then I didn't really have a whole lot pulled up. So we'll kind of have to take a look at LTC and then near. That'd be that next thing I had my eye on. We did end up getting that solid push to the upside before earnings. We closed out this giant CME gap that was made as we saw a bunch of market sell-off, and we're now continuing to the downside. We rejected quite heavily off of the middle area of the CME gap and have continued this move to the downside. You do have a bit of some buying pressure below us at about $118. That'd be an area I would look at for some slight bouncing, but the overall trend does look to the downside. I see Jesse asking for ADA. Let me get that added to the list. All right. We've got Nvidia looking quite red here on our prime oscillator. Let's get that demonstration pulled up. Got looking quite red here as we're rolling over once again. True 7 finally clipping, but has not found its bottom. Money flow starting to come out here on the 4-hour MACD. Just broke below your 0 line, and your indicator line is about to do the same. Looking for a strong bottom. We are making lower highs here. You did potentially have the opportunity to make a higher low, but it looks like the trend might be another lower low. You've got this low up here, which where we tried to break trend before we really saw a massive sell-off. We've got our lows down here, so I'd be looking for a little bit lower. We do have this 236 on our Fibonacci extension, which would be that next little area I'd kind of look at. That's at 106.14, and it's quite a move to the downside. You might see a lot of buying pressure here. We saw it twice before. That was our launching point back up to our golden pocket, and was the same when we got back down to it here as well. It was that launch up to our golden pocket before we try to get up to the platinum pocket there. So lots of buying pressure down here at this 236 on our extension. That'd be another higher low though. So looking for that break of trend. That's where we might do some sideways movement, try to consolidate just a bit to be able to make some higher lows. You have that daily also looking quite ugly here. Just broke your indicator line and failed. That indicator line failed to get above the 0 line. So as money flow is continuing to come out, your volume is rolling over. Nvidia is looking like it's going to have some continued sell-off unless you just see some crazy news that really drives some buying pressure to come on in and change these higher term time frame money flows. You do have that 1 hour also sitting on the bottom side of our 0 line, and look at that money flow. It is incredibly ugly. Not really waffling around too much, making higher lows or lower highs and lower lows. It's just a massive sell off that just gets larger and larger. Really waiting for that bottoming signal. Sitting heavy red here, not seeing any oversold signals starting to flash at all on Nvidia. Pre-market's already sitting a whole $2 lower than its close. So looking quite ugly this morning. We got Conspiracy Crypto in the chat. Good morning to you. He says, what's up, fam? Hope everyone brought their diamond hands to this bull market. I agree with that statement there. I've been holding my Bitcoin quite strong. I did sell off a lot of my alts. I did that a while ago, you know, quite when Piper was selling off a lot of his assets in general. I was just selling off my alts. I do have the faith that Bitcoin might see that second little bounce up to the upside like we've seen in a lot of our other trends before we really get this bear market going. We've got LBC in the chat saying good morning, and we've got Baba Yazin here as well. Good morning to you all. I have this special SMA every time it's below the line. It's been a good time to buy, just saying. Yes, all of this is quite good buying ranges. If you're trading, the trend is down. But when the trend is down, you find those bottoms for those little bounce points up, that's kind of where you want to do your buying there. I am I am less of a trader and more of just a buyer. So I look for those giant bottom sides. That's where I'm looking for 71 or 972 to do some big buying on some Bitcoin. We did have LTC requested and ADA requested as well. I've got about 20 minutes, so if anyone has any other alt requests they want me to take a look at, go ahead and drop them in the chat. If you got some TradFi assets you want me to take a look at, go ahead, drop those in the chats as well. I have quite a bit of time here. We got a LTC that was requested. I did talk about this yesterday. I wanted to see us get up to some of these higher levels to continue that trend to the upside. You did see this diverge from Bitcoin quite heavily and faltered a bit when Bitcoin faltered, and we saw this giant move back down to key levels at $115. We're looking to start this trend all over again. We will need to turn 121.26 into some support. Crypto Boomin says check out Metis. All right. LBC says check out the LTC BTC chart. I will have to do that as well. I think I have that pulled up in my LTC BTC. Okay, I can take a look at that one as well. I had someone request LTC at the very beginning of the show though, so I'll take a look at both of those. Got Metis requested as well. All right. I did talk about us yesterday needing to turn this 128.98 into some support. We did get some strong wicking action above it to the top side before we really lost that quite heavily. We also on the way down lost that 121 as well. We're now sitting right above that 115 and a strong support. We made that quick move back up to 121.26 before we saw some rejection to the downside. You have us looking like you have a potential to see some upward movement if you can have some strong money flow and volume coming in. Volume is selling volume right now. Your True 7 clipped though, so looking like you might see this be a bit of a bottom. You've got us making very nice candle wicks to the bottom side, indicating some nice buying pressure coming in, but you're kind of waffling around here in this range, looking like you might potentially see another little touch back down here at 115 to really cool those oscillators off just a bit. MACD's getting some solid curvature back to the upside, but it's a bit of a sideways curvature here, not with when it doesn't have that money flow behind it. You do have the 15-minute and the morning looking like you've topped out just a bit at that 115 that I would want to see us turn into some support. You're getting a bit of some curvature back to the upside, but it is red as your volume is buying volume, but your True 7 is moving quite sideways here. MACD also failing to break your zero line before it starts getting that curvature. So looking for a little bit lower here, potentially make a higher low on your more macro and continue that move to the upside. If not, and you see money flow continue to come out, that 115 looks like a quite solid range. Let's take a look at that LTC BTC chart. I guess I didn't have that saved. You've got it doing quite well. Let's zoom this on out to our daily, get a look at the macro. It is making some strength, making higher lows here, looking to potentially make a higher high as well. You've got all your low time moving averages crossing up to the top side of our higher term time frames, looking quite bullish on that chart right there. You might see a bit of some rollover here before we try to make another higher low before we continue that move to the upside. MACD, the prime oscillator, sitting light red as you've got this second reversal signal. But money flow coming on in on that LTC BTC comparison, looking like it's a little more bullish than Bitcoin. It is definitely performing a whole lot better. This is a nice little uptrend here. We are coming up to old levels that we saw heavy selling pressure at. That's going to be up here where we'd really need to get up to continue a solid trend on the higher term time frames. So looking solid for right now, but we'll need to see that money flow coming in on LTC. That's where we would need to make some strength at that lower level I was taking a look at. All right, we had ADA requested. Let's hop on over to that ADA chart. It's been seeing some sell off, and we're below all the key levels I wanted to see hold, and we're now back down to that 57-cent range that I had talked about. We're coming up to that area. Might see that be a bit of a bounce here. You have your 4 hour looking quite sideways on our MACD, looking like you might see some potential curvature back up to the upside. Would need to see that volume really slow up on that the selling pressure though. Your prime oscillator still sitting quite heavily red as we're getting that bit of a curvature. You've got some oversold signals that flashed, but your money flow is not really coming in just yet. You do have that platinum pocket sitting right below us as well. That's that 53-cent range. That would be a strong little bouncing point for ADA if we are unable to maintain 57.17. We got a few bounces off of the top side of that 62 range. That would be that first little area to kind of push back up to before we really see that strong little rejection off of it. You do have your 1 hour looking like it's got that cross going on our MACD. Your prime oscillator is sitting green here. Your volume is continuing to increase on some selling volume, but it is quite low. So you could have some quick money flow coming in to kind of rescue and push to the upside. 15-minute looking like you've already topped out, just like LTC, and that'd be that little bouncing range I'd look for. But unlike LTC, you are getting that last little bit of curvature here on ADA, as you do see all of these green candles here. They have it slowed down a bit, so looking for that strong waffling around in between these key levels before we make a decision in either direction. I would kind of favor the downside just with how the market is looking right now. That 57 cents would be that first area. You might see a little bounce before we really get back down to this 53 and that platinum pocket. Kind of ugly levels on ADA. Don't want to see us get back down below that platinum pocket though, because it is a quick move down after that. There's not a whole lot to really rescue. Take a look at that weekly so you can kind of see this was a giant fair value gap when we got that giant move to the upside. So we're kind of retesting all of that, and that level below that platinum pocket, that first area would be about 45 cents. A quite ugly area for ADA to get all the way back down to. There's not a whole lot to kind of protect us if we don't hold this range above the platinum pocket. All right, had Metis requested as well. I'm not sure. I think I've taken a look at that before. muted. There we go. Unmuted myself. Sorry, that M button. Every single time I hit that, I'm glad I caught that quite quickly though. So we do have Metis with a solid rejection off of that golden pocket on our micro time frames, and that's where we're looking for us to kind of come back down to where we saw some very heavy buying pressure, looking for that move back up to our fair value gap, which we rejected off of the midline of, which also correlates with that golden pocket there. Looking for that bottom side range. If you do zoom this out a bit, let's get this shorter term time frame hidden, because it looks like we might break below it. That's that micro fib retracement there, looking like you might come all the way back down, see some levels we haven't seen since it really got that strong launch up. You have this area right here, which was a very solid resistance, which we waffled around at before we got that strong pushback up. We are looking like we're losing these key levels right here, right now. That's where we got some wicking action right below. That's going to be that 21.93, and that's where we're breaking below right now. You do have $16.85. That'd be that next little area I would kind of look at for Metis. The daily does look like it's got some continued downside on it, as your MACD has failed to get up to that zero line or anywhere close to that zero line, and is looking to cross back below our indicator line here. You've got your money flow coming on out, but it's looking to make a higher low and continue that trend on money flow. So to see that kind of cool off just a bit as we approach these lower levels to really bring that money flow back in would kind of be a move to see before we try to get back up to our fair value gap up here. That's going to be that $27 and the midline of $30.50. That'd be those those next moves I would look for after we bottom out here around that $16.85. You do see some nice buying pressure under this $22 range. We'll kind of have to see if that starts kicking in on our shorter term time frames. Let's take a look at that hourly there. You do have that volume still being an outflow here. Nice red volume looking to increase as your money flow is coming on out. Prime oscillator looking green here, but it is moving quite sideways. You've got some double bottoming action here on your MACD, looking to kind of cross our indicator line on the bottom, but looking like we might reject, make another little move up here towards that 21.93 and reject again off of how that money flow is and how the volume is all selling volume. Looking for this 21.93 to be turned into some support if you really want to continue that trend to the upside. Take a look at that 15-minute. 15-minute does look a little positive with your MACD. You've got these very small candles here, so would need to see that money flow coming on in, and that's the opposite of what we're seeing here. That's why I'd look for another little double top kind of situation before you reject a bit lower. That's 21.39, where you might want to take a look at potentially shorting Metis to these lower levels. If you're more that swing trader, that 1685 might be a solid area. You do see money flow rolling over here, potential to create another lower low and continue that trend to the downside. MACD looking quite ugly as you are moving quite sideways with this indicator line. You are playing up and down on it. Really gonna need that money flow to come in just like the rest of the markets. So nothing different there. Like leaving your fly down or forgetting to put the gas cap on, says Wick 589. Yeah, that M button throws me off. I'm gonna have to find a different button. I've got a few other buttons I can use, especially with my whole. I've got that nice Corsair mouse with a bunch of buttons on it, so I'm gonna have to choose some different buttons besides my M and U. This was I had a different mouse, and now I've got like 12 buttons on there that I can put to full use. So after this show ends, I'm gonna fix that so that I no longer like type something out and hit M and then accidentally mute myself and then not notice for a second. So we will get that one fixed. I see Ernie in the chat. Good morning to you. RSan246. I have to go back and watch the show. Have a good day, everyone. Well, we talked about Bitcoin at that beginning. We also talked about Nvidia and its failure to move markets. So many people were talking about, oh, Nvidia is going to give us a massive uptrend because they beat their earnings. And I told everyone yesterday, don't expect it. And that's exactly what we got. We got continued downside across the board. Rsan246 with his I hate XRP. We can take a quick look at XRP. I know you love it so much. I always love to look at that chart because it's been in a massive downtrend, and I've talked about it quite a bit for a while. We've got XRP looking like it's going to potentially continue some downside. You do see that MACD looking like you might get a cross back to the upside here very briefly, but this giant area above us is a bit of a fair value gap if you move this to a higher term time frame. Take a look at that 4 hour, I guess. That's where you see that fair value gap being drawn out. There we go. Let me get that fair value gap drawn out for you, and that's where you could see us potentially come to that midline and see a bit of some rejection. Let's get that drawn out purple. That's what I like to color my fair value gaps as. Let's lock it as well so we don't move it around. We've got we've got $2.10, which would be a nice little area to kind of get to. You've got your 4 hour looking like it's a bit of a bottom here on your prime oscillator, but it is looking red. Volume is slowing down on that selling volume here, looking to potentially get a last little sell off on XRP. Do have your true 7 looking quite red, so to see that clip real quick and then it move back up might be a move to see as we get back up to this midline of our fair value gap. Seeing that 1 hour getting some nice curvature back to the upside on our MACD and prime oscillator, but with it being green and moving quite sideways here, looking to kind of waffle around in this range before we get back down to the bottom side of things. We do have we have $1.95. I don't know why I'm talking big numbers on XRP like it's got all that money behind it, but $1.95 being a strong buying area for now. But I did talk about these lower levels and that golden pocket at $1.62 with how that 1 week was looking the other day. You do have the potential for a short-term bounce here as we are looking to cool off these oscillators just a bit. You've got a reversal signal that flashed. Prime oscillator went from red to green, immediately back to red, but we're holding the bottom side of this fair value gap quite nicely. That's why I'd look back up to that midline before we really see that strong rejection. All right, thank you for everyone that tuned in today. I appreciate every single one of you. Lunar Beach is saying, gotta go into work. Have a great day, everyone. Mad love, PCE in 30 minutes. Yep. Be careful with those trades. Most definitely, we do have a lot of volatility that could be heading our way. Biz Knowledge, did you talk about the CME gap filling on Bitcoin? I did at the beginning of the show. That's why I talked about having a limit order set down at $72,000. because there's liquidity sitting right underneath that CME gap. We've talked about it quite a bit here on Piper Academy, and we like to pay attention to all those levels. It's not a beautiful level, but if you're prepared and you've got the knowledge, then it's not that scary of a level. It's a great area to set some orders at and really kind of catch that move back up. That CME gap, I believe's bottom is sitting around that $74,000 range. That's also a golden pocket on a retracement. So scroll back to the beginning, kind of check that out if you didn't get the chance. We've got Jeffrey Stone Cipher in the chat saying good morning and thank you. I appreciate you. See y'all in that Alexo crypto chat here in just a second. Make sure to tune in to Piper with that morning market report. He will break down all of today's data because we will be having some heavy data. And make sure to tune in to Trade Academy at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Another great show to watch. Other than that, make sure to trade safe and wake up because today's going to be a good day.